Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Warcast with your host Wind. Today's is going to be the first series of Warcast where we aim to reduce the amount of time spent on the Warcast while focusing on the more important wars, that is the more interesting ones, while still giving some screen time and talk time about all the other wars that are happening in the world. So you'll see different formats coming up over the next few weeks of different types of Warcasts. This one in particular drills more down into the finer details of the war. This is a war that we already talked about 14 or 16 hours ago when it started in the MUGA Discord, and this is the war between 6.3 and 4.6. Now, for those who are there or those who are not sure, one kingdom is very heretic and orc heavy while the other kingdom is not, and we'll go over that in the video. So without further ado, let's get started, because I did promise that these new warcasts would actually be a shorter version of, what we're more used to seeing. So let's dive in. All right, we're going straight to the chart here. As you can see, I got my dark mode enabled, so it's a little bit easier on the eyes, as well as I do have a screen draw set up as well, so we can start looking at things. Let's just set some things up with the screen draw right away, and just get that out of the way. Now, of course, the dates on the target finder here are not completely accurate. April 21st, that's actually more or less when the war was started. I've got a little notepad here of stuff that we're going to go over, but as you can see here, war declare was on the 21st. Again, I'm going to double check the view here to make sure that you can actually see here, because I am going to be moving some stuff around, so just bear with me here for one moment. I'll have to move that around, but anyway, the war declare was on the 21st, so essentially we're looking at April 21st here, so I'm just going to mark that down here as a war declare with my little highlighter here. So that's more or less where the war was declared, and I can even type something there. Okay, so that's going to be our war marker there. Oh, this is awesome, being able to do this again. It was a pain in the butt not being able to do this. And their hostile wave, I'm just going to quickly go back here, essentially started on June the 9th. So war started on June the 21st. We're going to go down to April 9th here. So this is pretty much where their hostile wave was going on. And when I say their hostile wave, I mean that was 4.6's hostile wave, because they actually gave the button to 6.3, and so 6.3 was the first one to get a war wave. So you can see here, I mean, it's pretty obvious, there's no conversions. Again, this is the net worth, so 4.6 was just growing a little bit in towards the war. They were mostly just doing trad marches, which we'll look at shortly. But just before we go into that, I just want to see if this is going to save, all this data up here. So we can just take a quick look down here. Actually, it looks like it does. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to move that out of the way there. And we'll just take a quick look. I'm going to make sure that you can see it as well on the screen here. So I'm just going to move it up here, just to give you a better look as to what's going on here in the world. Wow, this is a big screen. It's going to be a little bit hard to get this right. There we go. That's more or less where we want it to be. So as you can see here, as I mentioned before, now this is the whole war, but just the war, not including the hostile, because it's only the last 16 hours. Well, let me make sure that this is viewable on all fronts here. The most important thing is that we kind of see the change in net worth, and I don't want to make the screen too small, because at the same time, you still want you to be able to see it. Okay, there, you guys should still be able to see that, and that gives us plenty of room so we can take a look at everything. Okay, so yeah, so essentially what we're looking at here is pork belly was okay. Well, let's just make this easier for us, because I know this can get confusing sometimes. These guys over here are 4.6, and these guys over here are 6.3, just to make things easier for us. All right, so 4.6 and 6.3. Okay, so on 6.3 side, you can see there was some pretty heavy chains on their orcs. That's Pork Belly and Netflix and Chill. Those guys had higher offenses, but both of them were not actually the top offenses in the kingdom. So strange strategy by 4-6 not going after top offenses, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that that won't necessarily work. Whereas on the 4-6 side, 6-3's primary two targets were Knights and Merchants and Twilight Princess, and those two pretty much had more or less the highest offenses, and we're going to go into that quickly. And again, these were the targets for the entire war. So, Twilight Princess was the first one to come down. That was their first chain. And so, that province was actually the first one to fall on this side. But we're going to go into that a little bit more detail. I just wanted to get some stuff drawn up here on the board. Well, look at that. It doesn't exactly save per se. I guess it's because I moved some stuff around. But yeah, we can always add that in. But the important part is that you guys saw what I was posting there. Oops. Yeah, so I guess we're just going to leave that for now. I'll just delete that later. It doesn't really matter if you guys see that or not. That's kind of irrelevant right now. We already went over it at the beginning of the video. Just something I'll be working on going forward. So just to iron some stuff out here, I'm going to show you my little notepad here of things that I collected through the Snatch News and some sought history. Just to set a baseline for how this war started. It was initially when I had speculated on it just by looking at the target finder. I wasn't thinking that they were going to have they would have had a hostile wave the same way that they did, and they would conduct a war wave the same way that they conducted their hostile wave. But in a sense they kind of did, just that initially we were looking at different chaining methods, but really 4-6 is using kind of an army in, army out scenario, just the way that their armies went into the hostile, through the hostile, and then as they were returning they were all super staggered, so they had to go in and out. Okay, so but essentially, without getting more off track here, essentially we're looking at a war declare date of June the 21st. That's when 6-3 actually was given the button, or had the button, and that's when they chose to declare their war. Kingdom A we're going to call as 6-3. They're primarily Orc warriors and Elf heretics. They did not have any hostile wave. Their first wave was a war wave, and that started on June the 22nd and ended June the 23rd. As you can see here, I've got their stats here from their war wave. But just to keep things, in perspective, I'm going to talk about the stats on the hostile wave first, and that's just down here. Kingdom B 4-6. We got a race personality of mostly Orc tacticians and Elf necros. Their hostile wave, yes, that started on June the 9th, ended on June the 21st. So you can see there's quite a split there between their forces. Looks like they pretty much only did traditional marches, and that netted them about 1,586 acres on 14 different attacks. I believe there may have been one massacre thrown in there in between on beers on 6-3, but that was only like 1,700 kills or 1,600 kills or something, and that was one attack. They did get their war wave. This is kind of more or less their return date that I posted down here. 22nd, 23rd. 23rd is more when they actually had their first war wave. And just as you can see, I have been keeping track of rituals and dragons on this one as well too. So just so you guys know, 6-3 started a Sapphire Dragon project, which according to inside info has been funded for quite some time now and just hasn't been launched. They currently have a Havoc ritual, so you can see they're kind of doubling down with the Sapphire and the Havoc to get some more heretic damage, and you'll see why. I'll tell you why shortly. And then I marked their next return wave as July 12th, more or less July 12th, finishing the 13th. That's kind of why I waited to do this broadcast until July 13th, 14th, so I could gather all this data and get this all combined. But as you can see, when they entered the war, or when they declared war on the 21st, they went in strong with 27 traditional marches for 1,838 acres, as well as 17 massacres. That's 35,647 population. Now, all in between this, they were doing night strikes as well with their heretics. So I'm just going to scroll over here so you can quickly see. Actually, you can see it on this screen here. I really got to get the double screen set up. I hope my computer can handle that going forward. But anyway, you can see the hostile wave down here. That's this thing down here that I have highlighted right now. I'm just going to, as I talk, I'm just going to kind of bounce back and forth between some stuff here and make sure that everything's actually working properly again, because it has been some time since we did this. Anyway, this is the first time I'm doing it like this anyway, and this is more for the people waking up in the morning so they have something to check out when they do look at the charts. There are a couple other wars going on right now, but this is definitely the most interesting war and the one that's most talked about, at least on the news side of things. All right, so as you can see here, without going into too much more jibber jabber about useless stuff, this was their hostile wave. So as you can see, they didn't really go too deep. It's about 200 acres, between 100 to 200 acres, no more than 2 attacks per province on 6-3. That is 4-6 attacking 6-3 right here for the hostile wave. Now on the flip side of things, you could see the mass targets here. They went pretty heavy on 4 of the mass targets here, whereas they went a little bit lighter on 2 at the bottom. And then of course, as I mentioned before, you can see their trad targets here. That's primarily Twilight Princess and SimCity, which is what I was alluding to earlier. Yeah, so let's see here. SimCity 27. Yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense. All right, yep, and then on their, sorry, did I get distracted there? Oh yeah, I definitely did get distracted because I didn't actually tell you about 4-6's ritual as well as their dragon. So now that you've seen that war wave details and the hostile wave, for the dragon on 4-6, it looks like they've started a ruby dragon again. I'm not sure if that's funded. It very well could be, but maybe they're waiting for the other kingdom to send their dragon first, which again, insider intel tells us they have not, as well as the Snatch News tells us that no dragons have been exchanged just yet, just that they are pockets or they're still being worked on. It looks like and to top it all off, 4-6 went into this war with an old haste ritual that had started on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. But then they started on May the 19th developing this onslaught ritual. Clearly they were planning on going to war with somebody. If you look back in their news, it was a little bit hectic for them as they were entering this war. There was a lot of attacks on them, but 6-3 suffered some attacks as well too. Maybe not as active as 4-6's news, but they definitely got theirs. July 9th, you can see they finally complete that onslaught ritual. So this last attack that they had is more or less, with that not quite with that ritual, but their next wave, this wave coming up now, because they're kind of trickling in and out. But this ritual is basically ready for their current wave that they should be doing right now or over the next, range of hours here. Like I said, 9 to the 21st, right? So they got about a 10-11 hour window that they're going army in, army out, swinging by AIAO. And when I say wave here, we're just going, I'm just calling it a normal wave because the army's going in and out within an hour time window. Whereas this army, 4-6's armies are marching. They're not waiting around to line up. They're just going in and out as they come back. So now that that's out of the way, if we look quickly over at their war wave here, yeah, okay, it looks good. Yeah, we look quickly over at their war wave here, we can see that they kind of both went forward with a few more massacres, but they aren't really focusing on that right now. It looks like they're more focusing on the land exchange. But as you can see, despite having less uniques, they still had, 6-3 still had a high number of attacks for 3,256 acres, whereas, with more uniques, 4-6 had 59 attacks, but only 2,849 acres, which could mean that they're starting to run a little bit low on offense. Now we're going to look at some other details here with regards to the Night Strike, because apparently I was told that it's a little bit OP and it's getting, it's a little bit crazy, and we're going to kind of examine that here today. We got my final changes page open here. We're just going to take a look at the Intel site here. Good, that looks good. Okay, so this is 6.3's Intel site. Now, I just wanted to show you this because this is Intel from before, or basically just as the war started. So it's kind of gives you a better idea of what their offenses and defensive numbers look like. Pork Belly, Snooze Snooze, Netflix, and Chill were the highest offenses. Same with Lint, Dark Chocolate. Which is why if we go back to the Target Finder Index, let me just make sure that yeah, it still looks good. So yeah, we're looking at the Target Finder Index here. And we're seeing, who do we see up here? Pork Belly, Netflix, Netflix and Chill, Snooze and Coffee. Those are only the top 3. Where do we end up here? Lint, Dark Chocolate was another one with high offense, and so was Rice and Blackjack and Cocaine. So those guys are still running around with 200s. Those Sweaty Armpits, Moose's Empire. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 of them running around with, let's say, probably close to 200k offense still right now. And again, if we look at who is actually impacted the most net worth wise, it was really only Pork Belly and Netflix and Chill. It kind of looks like Snooze and Coffee kind of got a little bit easy, but that just bodes even worse for 4-6 with regards to how much offense these like 6-3 is still swinging around here. As opposed to the opposite side of things. If we look at the damage done to Twilight Princess, Knights Merchants, and then you'll notice that like there's a lot of net worth compared to like this side, for instance. There's a lot of net worth down here. Here, I'm just going to mark it off here as we go. There's a lot of tiers of net worth missing on this side. Like, there's a tier. We're going to call this a tier as well too. Let's say like around the 26 mark, that's another tier, and then of course we're down into the low teens when we get like down here, but as you can see, I'm just going to draw the net worth tiers here so you can see how big of a gap there is in terms of like the TM ops as well as the war coordination. Bigger changes means more losses, means something's going on and you need to look into it, right? So yeah, they still did a good amount of damage to the top end here, 2 for 2, right? But then you start looking at these net worth tiers and it's like, wow, there's a lot of 30k, 50k, 24k, 26k damage in net worth going on here. A lot of them are attackers too. Some of them are TMs, but mostly attackers, and I think necromancers as well, some of them, but primarily like they're orcs, and avians, things like that. But there are some mixes of elves in there, but I believe the elves are necromancers as well, so they're kind of like attackers. But as you can see, the net worths per acres are really low as well too on these guys. So that's again that's telling me that lots of ops are happening there. And again, like I said, insider intel from 6.3 tells us that like this heretic spell, failing spells for stealth is extremely powerful, and they were looking at insane numbers when it came to their night strike, and that's what we're seeing here in these numbers here. So just before we go into the night strike side of things and talk about that, I'm just going to quickly look at 4-6's in details as well. So you can see offense wise, Twilight Princess was the top, so they took her out. They took out Twilight Princess pretty quick. And Knights and Merchants was the other big one that they took out. Sorry, I got too many windows open here. Knights and Merchants. So they only had 200 and 129k offense. And if all these other guys, like these avian tacticians, orc tacticians, and elf necromancers, like Command and Conquer, Civilization, they all suffered. So here's Command and Conquer. Look how low that net worth per acre is. But if they all suffered from heretic attacks, they're pretty much gimped. They're going to be useless. They're not going to be able to break anything. And that's one thing that 6.3 told me as well too, is that they foresaw pretty strong victory conditions on this war, and that they were already at unbreakables at some point. The last time I talked to them, which was some time ago now. Because again, if we go back and we look at how many like provinces here are over 180k offense that are untouched, right, on the 6.3 side, And then we go over here and look at how much defense, you know, their top has. Like, dude, 147, 100. These guys are getting busted by every single one of those attackers. So essentially what I'm saying here is nobody's really safe. It appears, at least this way. Again, this intel is from roughly when the war started. So it's more or less as Twilight Princess was coming down. So you can see her offense there. But yeah, they definitely were lacking the offense and defense going into this war. I mean, let's look at 6-3 side of things here again. Defense isn't super strong. Well, I'm lied about that. Defense is super strong on these two heretics. Like, holy cow, that's insane. There's no way. Like, these two are unbreakable for sure. And you know, probably this or elf heretic and this elf heretic too is probably sitting pretty. Because again, like if we go back and look at the damage done to the rest of the kingdom on you know, 4/6's side of things, I just wanted to do some quick math here. So let's say, you know, we take one of these provinces like Command and Conquer. Okay, he's got a very low net worth per acre. He's grown a fair bit, not a lot though, only 112 acres, and he's at 87k net worth. Okay, so let's just assume that all of his net worth loss was caused by heretics, which I'm not going to tell you the exact numbers in terms of damage that was provided to me, but with these little calculations, we're going to come close. So let's say that 65,648 was our magic number. Okay, we're going to go over to the final changes side here, and we're going to look for our elf. Where's the elf? Elf, where are you, elf? Okay, there's the elf. Okay, so elf, he's probably running a lot of D-specs, and either way his elites are worth not much more, 5.5 or 5.75. So we're going to take that number and we're going to divide it by 5.5. So this is just a disgusting number. Okay, so let's say that all that damage was done by night strikes. Okay, the 65,000 net worth. We'd be looking at something like, I'm going to put it on the screen here if I can. We're looking at about that much damage. Okay, here I'm just gonna put it right beside here. I'm gonna change the color to red because that's death. Okay, and we're just gonna delete. Forget it. You know what? That's too close to the other one. Okay, we're gonna go with like this blue color. All right. So that guy, oh, that's no good. All right, we're gonna go with light green. Okay. I gotta work on my Christmas colors here. Okay, so that means that they did 11,936 damage to that elf with their heretics. Okay, let's look at a smaller number on one of these orcs that's, you know, hasn't really grown but it's taken a lot of damage and has a really low net worth per acre. Okay, like Leisure Suit Larry, for instance. Okay, now he's only got 32,562 damage. Okay. And where's my orcs at here? Okay, orcs have either a 7.25 or a 4.5 net worth value on their defensive specialist. So let's say that they night striked all defensive specialists on him. Okay, that's Leisure Suit Larry. So I'll put it on this side. Leisure Suit Larry. Oops, I want to copy the right number there. Leisure Suit Larry. Dang it, it's not working. You know what? I think I need to try that again. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. Leisure Suit Larry. There we go. Okay, so if that was all D-specs that were annihilated, you'd be looking at almost losses of over 7,000 D-specs, and that's over the course of the beginning of the war. That's only over the 16 hours that 6-3 has started opping them. So you can see how much devastation there's been, and all these numbers, like, I guarantee you, all of these numbers, these guys that weren't attacked, they weren't chained, you know, except for, you know, Red Dead looks like he took a few acre hits. You know, Super Puzzle, like these guys, they're taking minor hits probably just to keep their guys alive. like 6-3, just keeping their guys alive on acres, so they're fed and they have some incoming. But this is the primary damage up here when it comes to the acres. And this, again, these were the top offenses as well too. So you can see here how much Night Strike damage has actually been done. And again, if you know, even if it was elite damage, 32562. Again, look at our changes. Orc elite unit is worth 7.25 net worth. We'll divide that by 7.25 net worth, and we're looking at 4,491 elites lost in order to lose that that amount of net worth. Sorry, I'm just bouncing around here a little bit. Just bear with me. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not used to doing so much anymore. Yeah, so then we'd be looking at, that. So either way you slice it, that kind of gives you an idea. Like everybody who's basically in this 37 to 24k range, if they're around 7.25 net worth per unit, they're losing about 5,000, 4,500 units. If they're a 4 net worth D-spec or 4.5 net worth D-spec, they're losing about 7,000 units on 30k, whereas like this elf up here, he lost it large. Let's see if I can get rid of that. I think I can. No. Yeah, anyway, I'll figure out how to use this thing. There we go. This thing's great compared to the last one that I was using. Okay. I'll just get this web search thing out of the way now. What is that? Ooh. Okay, there we go. But yeah, so you can see how much damage is actually going down here. I mean, no matter how you slice it, this is a ton of net worth damage. And again, all this net worth damage is coming from the heretics. So I just want to stress again how powerful these heretics can be. And again, this is only a 16-hour war. I mean, look what's been going on here. It looks like they had a pretty easy ride from their hostile. Again, I'm just going to draw the hostile box here. This is basically their hostile period. Okay, as you can see, 4-6 is kind of looks like they're just taking away with the net worth or whatever. But then you see when the waves start to happen, you see 6-3 making convergences. Switch to a different color here. Let's do purple. Screw it. There's a convergence there. And again, there's on their last wave, there's another convergence. They're really taking damage, seemingly from 4-6, but this damage is nothing that they can't recover from as a kingdom. I mean, Porkbelly's in bad shape and Netflix and Chill's in bad shape, but I'm sure, they're able to manage it because, they still have a pretty good net worth per acre, which means they're not just dumping everything. They must have some incoming. But either way, it looks like they were, this, 4-6 focused a little bit too hard on them, and kind of lost sight. Well, they definitely lost the TM game. I mean, net worth wise here, because if this is their damage, granted, we haven't seen, they're doing their things right now to increase these numbers, but like, I just don't see how they could keep up with that damage. Like if this is all the damage that they can do in one wave plus a hostile, right? What are they going to be able to do next? Like honestly, what are they going to be able to do next, especially with limited abilities? And again, net worth per acre is so low. So let's just get rid of this stuff here. There we go. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're just going to take a quick look at the rest of the chart now. This is going to be something I'm going to try and do more often for some of the wars. This war is kind of more or less already, I think, been decided. And it's pretty early on, which is kind of scary because it just shows you the true power of the heretics in this. Now, if this thing will just load. Uh-oh. Yeah, this happens sometimes. Pressed it too many times, got impatient. Alright, so yeah, so that was the net worth side. If we look at the land side of things, you can see 6-3 is definitely holding land right now. But again, as I said, 6-3 is just kind of fattening up 4-6 and really pounding on them with their TMs, as evident by this net worth damage here. And that's something, again, they wanted me to say that, is really strong this age. And I think they said something like 25 other kingdoms are well aware of that too. I'm guessing that's the number of kingdoms running heretics. But yeah, and so that's something they wanted to stress. It is a very powerful combo, of course, along with the orcs as well. Not saying that's the combo that's going to win the game, but very likely has a good chance and is a very good competitor. So again, as you can see here, addicts, because they won their 2 wars in a row, and 4-6 only won 1 war, that's pretty much the reason we see the honor gap here. But as you can see, again, the honor's kind of showing us, 6-3 is kind of milking 4-6 for honor right now. And this is their second wave here, up at the top here. This is their wave gain. And this is the slow honor loss off of their provinces that are taking damage, like Pork Belly and Netflix. Because again, they were some of the bigger attackers. They did have more honor to start off the war. But right now, as it stands, it's not looking super great for them. I want to thank everyone in my kingdom who helped gather the intel for this war, as well as all the commentary from everyone inside the Discord with regards to what's been going on with this war. And of course, for everyone else who's going to war right now, for giving me content. And thank you again to homeworld.org for the formatter, so we can kind of see what's all going on here. This data here was copy and pasted to the chart there. This is the second wave. This is 6-3, and then this one over here is 4-6's first war wave. It's kind of some idea of, and again, this is just from June the 23rd to July 13th. But 6-3 felt like they definitely had this war in the bag already, and showing this information here seems certainly like they have something going on there. So definitely a kingdom to watch out for, but good on 4-6 for taking the gamble. I mean, they were one province heavy compared to 6-3, but obviously that's nothing compared to the power of the heretic. All right, awesome guys. Well, this a great war. Best of luck to both of you. Although I know my report may seem a bit damning for 4-6 in terms of their outcome for this war, but keep fighting the good fight. You're not at min time yet, and you got to make it there before you can, even consider anything. So this might be the time now to try and figure out a different strategy. Whatever you're doing may not be working, may not win you this war because of how much TM damage you can take. You've been taking from these guys. So do your best. That's all I can say. And be sure, everyone, to watch out for the next Warcast. It will likely be a different kind of Warcast, probably something either looking at just the top 3 kingdoms of the world right now, and or just looking at new wars, 25 hours or less, or possibly even min-time wars. It really depends what's going on in the world. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you all for your support. I really do appreciate it, and so does everyone in the community. Thank you all, and I hope you do appreciate this shorter podcast, rather Warcast. I'm your host, Wind, signing off.